Hey there, welcome back into Occupy Democrats. And to say that Donald Trump has had a challenge with women in his life is actually more obvious than calling the Pope Catholic. But in this breaking story, his actual need for women's approval, and yet what's happening in this breaking story with MAGA says so much about how idiotic MAGA literally is. And I'm going to show that story to you in a few seconds. And if you'd like to see women actually vote Donald Trump out as much as I would, subscribe to the channel. But do you recall when Donald Trump actually said this on the campaign trail about women? This?
Suburban women, will you please like me?
And followed it by arguing with 60 Minutes. This?
You said the other day to suburban women, will you please like me, please, please?
Oh, I didn't say that. You know, that's so misleading the way I say jokingly.
Number, please.
The way you have it, it's like, oh, like I'm begging.
And then very recently, Caroline Leavitt had to explain why the GOP seems to be making it harder for women to vote. This.
And many married women, soon to be married women, are concerned that the new voter ID requirements may inhibit their access to the polls. What assurances can you give women voters in America to ease their concerns?
Sure. Well, the SAVE Act, as you mentioned, was passed by the House yesterday. This is the Safeguard American Voter Eligibility Act. I believe I'm getting that correct.
Oh, and there's more.
And this act is a common sense measure. It would require proof of citizenship for voting in our elections. The Democrats have been fear-mongering about this bill, have been saying that married women, if their name has changed, they didn't change it on their identification, would not be able to vote. That is complete fallacy. There are outlined in the bill about how to avoid that.
And my people told me about 4 weeks ago, I was saying, no, I want to protect the people. I want to protect the women of our country. I want to protect the women. Sir, please don't say that. I said, well.
The president very much supports a common sense solution to ensuring that only citizens can engage in our elections. This is
she's doing her best, isn't she, Caroline Lips?
Critical to improving the integrity of our elections and also the trust that American citizens need to have in our electoral process. So the president supports this bill, and that is a myth that has been proven wrong by the text of this bill, and I believe some of the co-sponsors of the bill have been very vocal in addressing that. And certainly I myself, as a married woman, would not stand before this podium if the president did not support such a common sense measure.
And still, when it's all said and done, Donald says this.
See, the way you said that is why people think of you and everyone else as fake news.
And the irony, the extreme irony of this breaking story of how MAGA thinks on the far right is so amazing, because who Donald Trump truly is and all we know about him is the guy who will finish any statement with this.
I'm going to do it whether the women like it or not.
So what's this breaking story? Many MAGA folks out loud, truly and wanting to end a woman's right to vote. Check this out. Breaking news, more and more MAGA Republicans openly calling to end women's right to vote. Over the years, right-wing firebrand author Ann Coulter argued on various occasions that the United States needs to reconsider women's suffrage. And during Trump's second presidency, however, an increasing number of Christian nationalists and MAGA influencers are flat out calling for the repeal of the 19th Amendment, which in 1920 gave women nationwide the right to vote. Dale Patridge, a far-right evangelical Christian nationalist pastor, said, in quotes, "I think we should repeal the 19th Amendment because I love America." Manosphere influencer Andrew Tate called for the U.S. to stop letting women vote, and anti-feminist Hannah Pearl Davis repeatedly calls for women to lose their voting rights. Another opponent of women's suffrage is Idaho-based Pastor Doug Wilson, an ally of Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth. In a column published on December 4, The Guardian's Moira Donegan warns that the movement to repeal the 19th Amendment is quite real among Christian nationalists and MAGA Republicans. In quotes, more and more, the progressive observes, influential voices in the MAGA movement and the far-right Republican Party are calling to strip women of the franchise. It's not that this is strictly a new development. Opposition to women voting rights has long been the fringe but persistent feature of the American right. It's been a favorite hobby horse of extremist preachers. It trended among Trump supporters on social media in the lead-up to the 2016 election, when polls showed that Trump would win only if men voted. Since 1920, Donegan notes, notes, opposition to women's rights to vote has simmered at the extreme edges of political opinion, but increasingly, she emphasizes, MAGA figures are saying the quiet part out loud in 2025. In quotes, Joel Webben, a pastor and YouTube personality, has been at the forefront of his brand of misogynist Christian reaction. The opponents of women's suffrage have, for now, no way of enacting their ambition. There is no path to repealing the 19th Amendment, Donegan warns, but they are part of a growing movement to blame women's advancement and their increased access, participation, and visibility in education, the workforce, politics, and public life for a slew of social problems, from political polarization to economic stagnation to a vague sense of spiritual anomie. This range of sexisms that have attained mainstream credibility in politics and the press rests on one assumption, that women's citizenship is partial and conditional compared with men's, that we have less of a claim on rights, dignity, and public participation than our brothers do. Donegan adds, in quotes, that this assumption is even held as an insult to women's dignity, that it is now so blithely accepted as a sign of how far women's status has already sunk. We've heard Donald Trump talk about how much he loves the evangelicals and how much he loves the uneducated, etc. But does he not realize, do his followers and people not understand that if you don't get the independent female vote and if you don't get the suburban women's vote, you can't win a national election in this country? And you would think for a man, no matter how legitimate you may feel it is, who got elected twice with a 4-year break, you would think they would have figured this out by now. And yet, if you want to discuss the concept of someone shooting themselves in the foot, well, Donald Trump himself is an example of what his followers are doing. You guys like and share the video and stay frosty.